So, Good Boy. Yeah, this is a new horror film, people, and it's a horror film with a difference. You know what I mean? It is from Ben Leonberg, who co-wrote the film with Alex Cannon. It is produced by Carrie Fisher and Ben Leonberg, co-produced by Brian Goodhart. Sam Bowes-Miller took care of the score. Production design is Alison Devini. Visual effects, Jan Klyer. Okay. There is not a whole heap of information here. Let me... Yes. Okay, here we go. Wade Grebonall is on cinematography. Curtis Roberts edits the piece. And yes, the film stars... Well, we have Todd, right? Who actually, no. Max. No, not Max. Indy. Because Indy is the star. And Indy plays himself. Okay? We then have Todd, right? Indy's pet. Todd is played by Shane Jensen. His sister Vera is played by Ariel Friedman. His grandpa is played by Larry Fessenden, who we see in flashbacks. The neighbor Richard is played by Stuart Rudin. The doctor is played by Anya Krawczyk. Grandpa's dog Max is played by Bandit. No, sorry. Bandit is played by Max. Yes, that is correct. The weatherman is voiced by Hunter Gutierrez. And that is our cast. It's very small, right? Very small. The gist of the film is our canine hero, Indy, finds himself on a new adventure with his human owner and best friend Todd, leaving city life for a long-vacant family home in the country. From the start, two things are abundantly clear. Indy is wary of the creepy old house, and his affection for Todd is unwavering. After moving in, Indy is immediately vexed by empty corners, tracks, and invisible presence only he can see. Perceives phantasmagoric warnings from a long dead dog, and is haunted by visions of the previous occupant's grim death. When Todd begins succumbing to the dark forces swirling around the house, Indy must battle a malevolent intent on dragging his beloved Todd into the afterlife. Whoa, right? Whoa. That is the film. So we have a statement, right? A director's statement from Ben Leonberg. It reads, Stephen King, one of my biggest horror inspirations, often says he gets his ideas from what-if scenarios. What if an alcoholic writer was stranded with his family in a haunted hotel? The Shining. What if a bullied teenager discovered she had telekinetic powers? Carrie. Back in 2012, while revisiting the opening of Poltergeist, a what if struck me that I couldn't shake. What if the family dog was the only one who knew the house was haunted? Good Boy is the result of that question. It's a grounded paranormal thriller told from the perspective of a dog, a loyal, everyday companion thrust into extraordinary circumstances. This is his movie. One where his instincts, senses, and simple reasoning drive the story and storytelling. My dog Indy is the star, though he has no idea he's in it. He has no understanding of marks or cues, and he spent most of the shoot napping. Yet his on-screen presence is so magnetic that I put the whole movie on his oblivious little shoulders. When your lead actor is a dog, traditional filmmaking rules go out the window. For 3 years, my wife, also the film's producer, and I worked around his schedule, eliciting his performance by making silly noises, posing him in specific positions, and enticing him around our haunted house with treats. All shots with Indy were captured on closed sets so that we could maintain his focus, and I only ended up acting in it because I'm one of two people Indy truly loves and listens to. Fortunately, I've always believed the best films emerge because of their constraints, not in spite of them. Horror in particular thrives on ingenuity over budget. Good Boy envelops modern themes and grounded horror within a deeply relatable story. By centering Indy's perspective, the film invites audiences to see the world through the eyes of a loyal dog whose sole goal is to love and protect his best friend. While its genre elements are fantastical, the emotional bond between dog and human reflects a reality many can connect with. And in the wake of profound upheaval brought on by the pandemic, with the Surgeon General declaring loneliness an epidemic, trust in medicine plummeting, and our definitions of family continuing to evolve, Good Boy reflects on these modern struggles through the story of a despondent man who chooses seclusion with only his beloved dog to sustain him. Horror works best when it feels real, when the settings resemble places the audience might live, and the characters behave in ways that feel authentic. Good Boy fully embraces a grounded aesthetic, genuinely lived-in locations and naturalistic performances to build a believable world. When the supernatural events unfold, the familiarity of the environment and the characters make it easy to imagine the horror happening to anyone. At its core, Good Boy is more than a paranormal thriller. It's a story about confronting a darkness so universal it transcends species, and the terrifying question of what might happen when even our most loyal protector senses something we cannot. Dum, 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 dum. Yeah, people, that is the film. Man, yeah, this was something. This was something. Whew. It's definitely creepy. It is definitely creepy, and I think it's something we have not seen before, right? We have those films that play from an animal's point of view, but it's all like hey, my name's Steve. Oh, that's my owner, Tim. Right? And it's all that kind of thing. But this isn't that. Right? This is like you have to kind of interpret what the dog is thinking. Right? From what he's seeing and his movements. Right? The way the camera moves, the way the light and shadow and all of these things are playing, right? So from that, you kind of go, oh, right, yeah, the dog's scared. Oh, the dog's worried. It senses something, right? Just all of that kind of stuff. So it really, just builds up the tension because of all of those factors, which is great. It's great, people, right? Like, the film starts, it does do that thing where it starts kind of towards the end, right? So we do that, and then we kind of, jump forward, backward, as it were. And we have, Todd basically packing up Indy and going, right? So he's, going to his late granddad's house. Because he's been ill. Todd has been ill. And so we see those sequences, right? We see him ill. Well, we see Indy as a puppy, right? We have all of those kind of flashbacks. Getting picked up as a puppy, bonding with Todd, right? Just all of that stuff. Todd falling ill. Indy seeing him in the hospital, and then waiting outside with Vera when Todd finally gets out of the hospital. So we have all of this, right? And obviously Vera is, Todd's sister, right? So she cares about him. She's worried about him. But it's one of those things, right? When you're ill, you don't want to necessarily burden those around you with that. And being asked, are you okay? Is everything okay? Are you all right? All the moments of the day can be mad frustrating, right? And also, it's just reminding you of your shitty situation. So yeah, Todd packs up and moves, right? Moves to the country. Vera ain't too happy, right? Indy's all, we're going on an adventure. And then they pull up to the spot, obviously, right? They pull up at night. And Indy is very hesitant about the place. So we have that. And I think with this film, it's one of those things, and I'll say this, right? It's about paying attention. But I don't think I have to say it's about paying attention, because you are so drawn to what's happening, right? You're on the edge of your seat because it's so perplexing. You're so like, yo, where is this going? What's happening here, right? So I think you will be paying the attention that is needed, because firstly, to give off this whole vibe, right, being set from Indy's point of view, we're getting completely different camera angles, right? Because a dog ain't at this level, right? A dog is down there by your ankles. So everything is kind of looking up, and, depending on, is Indy sitting on the bed? Is he in Todd's lap? Like, where is Indy? So that's our perspective. So that, again, makes this film extra interesting and special. Right? So, we have this, and Indy looking, and, you think, is that, what's going on? Was that something in the corner? Right? Was that a move? And it's dark, it's shadows, the way light can hit something can make it look bigger than what it is. So we have all of this kind of stuff going on. Right? And sound design. The sound design of this is so, is another character. Right? Because it's adding so much to the film. Just the creaks and the whimpers, and just everything. Everything is just ramping up the tension, So we have all of this. And you get Todd, there's not a whole heap of dialogue in the film. Not a whole lot. Right? You get Todd being like, hey, Indy, Indy, here, boy. Right, good boy. Like, what's going on? What's wrong? Stay. Right there, that's the most kind of things that we get. There's some conversations with Vera, right? But not a whole heap. So just all of this stuff is adding to. And yeah, you've got creaks and different things. And then it's like these it's like these echoes of the past, right? And Indy sees Bandit. Yeah, so it's just like, oh, what are you doing? Who's this? So, follows this mysterious dog around the house at times and sees the grandpa. And so we have all of these things, right? And sometimes there's these other sequences with other stuff happening, and then suddenly, like, Indy's like, oh, and you see him sitting on the bed or in Todd's lap, and you realize, oh, was Indy dreaming? Right? Was Indy dreaming? So you're watching and you're wondering, is this a dog's fever dream, or was that real? Which, and it's the way it's done, the way they get this done, it really blurs those lines. So you are kind of like, oh, what are we seeing? What are we seeing? Is this real? Is this house haunted? And old houses are creepy as a motherfucker, right? They creak and shake, and when the wind blows, just all of these different things happen. So you can imagine being in that situation, hearing different noises and, sensing like all that residual energy from the past occupants. Right? It's all there. But another thing I'm thinking of with this film, right? Now, bear with me on this one, people. I could be completely wrong here. But I think, and it's mentioned early on in the film, right? Dogs are used for many different things, right? For tracking bombs, drugs, right? And they're used in medicine, right? Like, they found that dogs can sense sometimes disease, right? Cancer and things like that. There's been these weird occasions where a dog has, been looking at a certain part of someone's body, or like knocking it, and then they check it out and they find that there's a tumor growing, and like just things like that. So what if everything we are seeing is Indy sensing Todd's illness, right? So Indy trying to protect Todd, worried about Todd because he's ill. What if that is the demons that we're seeing? You know what I mean? If it's that, because dogs are so loyal, right? They will sit by your side. They will wait for you. You can shout at the dog, right? Be like, go away. I don't love you. And it will just sit there, turn its head, be like, woo. You know what I mean? And then you go, all right, come here. And then it just runs and gives you a big hug. You know what I mean? Dogs do that shit. So if you're not feeling well, right, dog will jump up and lick your face. It'll be like, oh, and snuggle beside you. You know what I mean? Dogs do that shit, right? So if Indy is sensing Todd being ill, he's going to be worried, right? He's going to try to help him. But we don't know how dogs see and sense and all of that kind of thing. So if Indy is sensing an illness, maybe he's seeing it as shadows and demons and this encroaching, you know what I mean, darkness. So maybe that is what good boy is. Right? Right? I think it is all up to the imagination of the viewer. But the film leaves an impact. Leaves an impact for sure. And for, oh man, right? When you think about it, for Ben's feature directorial debut, what a film. You know what I mean? Like, what a film, people. This is super impressive. Super impressive to be able to tell this type of story and have it work so well. That's the big thing. You know what I mean? Because you can try things and experiment and you go, look, I see what they're trying to do. Doesn't quite work, but bravo for the try, right? But with this, it all works. It all works. Like you are feeling everything. You are with Indy. Like the fear, the tension, it's palpable. We are in the dark a lot, right? Just using these shitty lamps to light things, right? Because, you know, it's an old house. Shit don't work. So, you know what I mean? You have, and that's building the ambience, right? As I said, there's a lot of shadow and light, right? Glimpses of reflections and different things like that. And when you add all of this up to the acting, which obviously Indy steals the show, right? I mean, how could he not? But Todd and, Shane, I should say, Shane and Ariel, they do such a great job, right? Ariel, you know, a lot of it, we just hear her. So she has to convey all the emotion in her voice, and she really does nail it, right? She really does nail it. And I think Shane really embodies that dog owner, right? Loves the dog. Dog is their best friend. But then also, right, just the fact of the illness, right? Being ill, right? You believe that, you know, Shane isn't well. Well, Shane is playing Todd, who isn't well, right? You believe it all. So, hey, if you want something that's going to hit you, right, in all those emotions, that is going to have you on the edge of your seat, right, and something you haven't seen before, I highly recommend you going to see Good Boy. Now, it is out this week in the US, and don't worry, UK people, right? Because I know you're like, wait, it's not in our screens, man. What's going on? Next week, the 10th of October, is when Good Boy drops in the UK. So, yeah, you will get to be able to see this too very soon. So yeah, people, I highly recommend hot step it to the cinema. Maybe bring your best friend, your dog, right? And go check out Good Boy.